My name is Rebecca. I'm about to celebrate my second wedding anniversary. I work in the advertising industry, so even after getting married, I've been busy with work. Ideally, we both would work moderately, but for some reason, my husband can't keep a job. So, I have to work in his place. However, I think our relationship is good. Despite being bad at housework, he tries his best and has even been cleaning recently. He's really bad at cooking though, so we've hired a housekeeper for that. Of course, I could do it, but during busy times, we end up relying on takeout or eating out. This messes up my skin a lot. Plus, I'm worried about my husband's diet, so we have the housekeeper come twice a week. When I have days off, I do the housework myself. My husband has a shift-based job now and seems to have a lot of days off, so I ask him to take care of most things at home. Sorry, I'll be late again today, so can you handle things? Yeah, sure. Take care. Thanks. I'll call you. It's a busy season now, and I'm incredibly swamped. I travel for work about twice a month, leaving home at 7:30 a.m. and returning around 9 p.m. Sometimes I get back past midnight. For the past month and a half, I've only talked to my husband in the mornings and on weekends. I know this isn't good, but I can't help being busy with work. While worrying about our relationship, another business trip got scheduled. Since the trip is in 2 days, I managed to take a day off to spend time with my husband. That day, I got home just before 8 p.m. I'm home. Oh, you're early today. Yeah, I worked hard to finish early. Good job. Did you eat? Yeah, I had what the housekeeper prepared. Sorry I couldn't cook. It's okay. I can't cook either. You're working hard. Thank you. I'm hungry. I'll heat it up for you. My husband brought me dinner. By the way, I have another business trip starting the day after tomorrow. It's for 3 nights and 4 days. What, again? You've been going on a lot of trips lately. My husband makes a slightly annoyed face whenever he hears about a business trip. Sorry, you have the day off tomorrow, right? I managed to get the day off too, so how about we go out somewhere? Tomorrow? I didn't think you'd be around, so I made some plans. Oh, I see. Well, that's understandable. But I'll cut my plans short and come back early. It's nothing important. Really? We haven't had much time together lately, so I'm happy. Thank you. I want to cherish our time together too. The next day, we watched a movie and had dinner before I left for my trip. Little did I know what would happen when I returned from my trip. The 4-day trip was cut short, and I came home on the 3rd night at 8 p.m. I was so happy to come back early that I didn't tell him, planning to surprise him. I bought a delicious-looking cake at the station and entered the house. What I saw there were shoes belonging to a woman I didn't know. I was completely baffled. They weren't the type of shoes I would wear. I almost dropped the cake I was holding, but I steadied myself and went inside. I'm home. There, I saw a very young girl and my husband cuddling on the sofa, watching a movie. The girl was wearing my husband's t-shirt with just her underwear underneath. My husband was dressed similarly, so they were probably fresh out of the bath. Rebecca? What? Wait, your wife? They were both incredibly surprised to see me. Why? You were supposed to come back tomorrow, right? Wait, I thought you two were separated. Well, just keep quiet for a bit. What's going on here? Well. My husband stumbled over his words, looking very awkward. The girl seemed pretty shocked too. Hey, are you listening? What is this? Were you cheating on me while I was away? Cheating? Well. Cheating? He told me you two were on the verge of divorce. Divorce? That's never come up. And by the way, you acting so smug in someone else's house, don't you realize this situation makes you look the worst? Huh? I'm comforting Bobby because you neglect him. I've been taking care of the house too, doing the cleaning. Really? Well, yeah. You should just hurry up and divorce Bobby and set him free. What? Why should I have to listen to a little brat like you? What you're doing is destroying a marriage. You'll have to pay for this. Old lady, you've been neglecting your husband and having an affair, right? Lying about your business trips. So you can't get money from me. Plus, I've heard you're abusive. So in the end, you'll be the one paying alimony and leaving this house. The girl spoke triumphantly. My husband's face gradually turned pale. I started to piece together what was going on. It seemed my husband was telling big lies. I hadn't had an affair, nor had I been abusive. When I stayed silent, my husband suddenly pulled out divorce papers from a drawer. Yeah, right. Get out, you useless old hag. He was trying to threaten me with the divorce papers. Oh, really? Are you sure? What? So, are you saying it's okay if I leave and we get divorced? Yeah, of course. It's better than staying with an old hag who doesn't do any housework. I'd much rather have a young girl like Holly who takes care of the house and comforts me. Well said, Bobby. All right, I get it. Hand over the divorce papers. When I reached out my hand, he hesitated for a moment, but he couldn't back out now. He handed it over immediately. I'll be leaving this house then. I'll come to get my stuff while you're not here. With that, I took the cake I had bought and left the house. I spent that night in a hotel. The next day, I took a week off from work, which was sudden, but I urgently needed to find a new place to live. I hopped from hotel to hotel, spending my days visiting potential homes and shopping for appliances. I made sure to keep all the receipts to include in the alimony. Miraculously, I found a place to move into in 2 weeks, so I booked a hotel near my office for a long stay until the move. I bought furniture and appliances, scheduled their delivery, and took another day off during the week to book the move. I figured my husband would be at work during the weekdays, and his lover wouldn't be around either, so I went to get my things. The room wasn't particularly messy. I had been so busy that I forgot to cancel the housekeeper service. I took all my personal documents and belongings. Since it made no sense to pay for utilities and the internet for a place I wasn't living in. So, I managed to move into my new place about 3 weeks after leaving that house. That day, my husband called me repeatedly. He probably didn't believe I would actually leave. The calls and emails continued, but I ignored them completely. Finally, I submitted the divorce papers. I arranged for the notification to be sent to both my house and my husband's house. About a month later, my ex-husband started calling frequently again. But I continued to ignore him. The next day after work, my ex-husband was waiting outside my office. Rebecca! Oh wow, showing up here? That's seriously stalker behavior. I'm not a stalker. Look, we're divorced. We're strangers now, so don't talk to me. My lawyer will be contacting you soon about the alimony. It's over with that girl. So please reconsider. No way, I've already filed for divorce. What makes you think I'd want to see you? I'm a mess. Please, just hear me out. No. I'm calling the police. Please! My ex-husband collapsed to the ground and started crying loudly. This is embarrassing. Fine, I'll listen. I couldn't help but worry about the scene he was causing, so I agreed to listen. We went to a nearby diner and ordered drinks. So, what do you want? I have zero interest in getting back together, and I will be asking for alimony. I don't want anything to do with you. I got dumped. Not my problem. What does that have to do with me? It's because you cut off the utilities at the house. What? I don't live there anymore, so of course I canceled them. I left the finances to you, so I never thought you were paying for everything. What? You seem to be living comfortably. We could afford a housekeeper. I had no idea my income was that low. Wait a second. You didn't keep track of your own income? No, it changes every time, and I never looked at the statements. What? So, I didn't know about our expenses. That's seriously irresponsible. My dad left everything to my mom, so I thought it was normal to leave it to you. Still, you should at least keep track of your own income. We're married, so it shouldn't matter. And then you contacted me because you were shocked at how low your income was? Yeah, that's right. You want to know the breakdown? Yeah, what did I actually pay for? Every time you changed jobs, your salary kept decreasing. In the end, I paid for almost everything. The only thing you paid for was the rent. No way. That can't be true. I'm surprised you didn't notice. Did you pay for the housekeeper too? Of course. I was busy with work and you were bad at housework. I had no choice but to hire help. I thought we were living extravagantly. Well, maybe it seemed extravagant, but I thought it was necessary to live. So, did you save any of my money? What? Savings? Yeah, savings. You must have saved some money, right? I need you to give it to me now. Wait a second. I told you that we were living mostly on my salary because your income was so low. I was using your earnings to pay the rent. What? So, there shouldn't be any savings. I did save some money for myself, though. Why not? It's normal for the wife to manage the husband's savings too. Why should I have to do that? Because I'm bad at managing money. If you need help so badly, why don't you ask your girlfriend? She dumped me. Why did she dump you? I granted you the divorce so you two could be together. You could live together and get married. She seemed pretty confident. Didn't you tell her all that? And after all the lies you told about me neglecting you, having an affair, and being abusive, why did she leave you? It doesn't make any sense. Well, yeah. Stop mumbling and answer me. As your ex-wife, I have a right to know. Where did you meet her? I met her on a dating app. I was bored because you were always busy with work and never home. That's when I met Holly. She said she was a sophomore in college. At first, I hid the fact that I was married, but she found out somehow. I panicked and lied, saying we were on the verge of divorce and living separately. Since you were rarely home because of work, she easily believed it. I kept piling on the lies, saying you were having an affair, you were abusive, and that even though I was the one making the money, you were living freely. I probably told a lot of other lies, but I can't remember them all. Since she was a student, she had time to come over frequently and clean the house. So that's why the house had been cleaner lately. But if she was cleaning, wouldn't she have noticed I was living there? Was she that clueless? Wouldn't she have realized we weren't separated if she was cleaning? No, I told her I was visiting my affair partner's house and coming home twice a week, so she didn't suspect anything. How many lies does this guy have to tell before he's satisfied? So, how was life after I left? At first, we lived together normally, but then the housekeeper stopped coming, and Holly had to do more housework. She started complaining. But I can't do housework, and she was living there, so I told her to do it. She got really angry and yelled at me. I never thought she'd be that kind of woman. Then we started drifting apart. When we went grocery shopping, she said she was always paying, and I realized I thought women should handle that. I tried to withdraw money from the bank, but there wasn't enough in the account. I was too embarrassed to admit it, so I borrowed money from the ATM and paid that time. Then the electricity and gas got cut off, and we got a notice for unpaid rent. That's when she found out I was broke and dumped me. She said she couldn't stay with a man who lived off his wife's money and couldn't manage his own finances. She left me. As my ex-husband detailed the entire sequence of events, he seemed to shrink more and more. I see. That's all you have to say? I'm devastated after being dumped. You could at least comfort me. No way. Trying to deceive and hold on to a young girl is gross. Plus, you were having an affair and living off my money. I'm glad she figured it out. I'm not happy at all. Well, I understand. It's late, so I'm going home. What? What do you mean what? I listened to your story, and now I want to go home. You just listened? Yes, I just listened. Can you lend me some money? What? I can't even manage to get by tomorrow at this rate. We're divorced. Absolutely not. And you won't pay me back. How am I supposed to live without electricity or gas? It's not my problem. With that, I left the diner. 2 days later, someone came to my house. The doorbell rang, and when I answered, there stood my ex-husband's girlfriend. What? What are you doing here? And how do you know where I live? I need to talk to you. I'm in trouble. I'm sorry, I followed you home. Talk? I have nothing to say to you. Following me is creepy. Please leave. I'm really sorry, but please, just hear me out. No, it's not possible. It's about Bobby. Please. Seeing her half crying, I reluctantly agreed to listen. However, I didn't feel comfortable letting her into my house, so we decided to talk at a nearby cafe. So, what do you want to talk about? First, I want to apologize for everything. I knew he was married but still got involved with him. I believed everything he said and said terrible things. I'm really sorry for everything. She apologized sincerely. Well, I'm not angry about that. Bobby lied to you and deceived you. So I don't plan to ask for alimony from you. Don't worry. You're still young and figured it out and left him. That's commendable. Thank you. I was prepared to drop out of school and work if you demanded alimony. Wow, that's pretty realistic of you. So, what's going on with Bobby? Well, after I broke up with him and left that house, I went back to my own apartment. We were never really living together, more like half living together. Since the university is far from his place, I would always go back to my own home. About 2 weeks after the breakup, he started waiting for me outside the university. What? Stalking? At first, he kept calling me, and when I blocked him, he started sending direct messages on social media. He said he wanted to talk, but I had no interest and ignored him. Then he started waiting for me after my classes. It was so scary, so I responded to his direct messages. That is scary. Very scary. Then he asked me to pay half of the rent and utilities for the time I lived there. But we were only together for about 6 months, and I was there mostly when you were on business trips. In the last month, we were almost living together, but I paid for all the groceries. I thought it would be around $200 or $300, but he demanded $5,000. I said I couldn't pay that, and he threatened to come to my place. That's outrageous. Exactly. But he's threatening me. I don't want him showing up at my place. I once heard the name of your company and thought of talking to you. I was scared to approach you, so I followed you. I wanted to formally ask for your help today. I see. Every day, he calls, emails, and waits for me at the university. I'm so scared that I'm staying at a friend's place. I don't know what to do. If I pay him, he might stop, but I don't have that kind of money. I'm barely managing to go to college. She started crying, clearly terrified. I think he's desperate because the electricity and gas are probably cut off, and he's about to be evicted. That's why he's clinging so desperately. I think so too. I thought he was managing on his own, but now I wonder why I ever got involved with him. I feel the same way. I wonder why I ever married him. I know it's my fault and it might seem like I deserve it, but I really don't know what to do. It's okay. Just telling me is enough. You should talk to the police, but they might not do much. Let me handle this. Really? Yes, of course. Adults have ways to deal with these things. Leave it to me. Despite everything I did, you're still willing to help me? Well, what you did wasn't right, but not everything was your fault. Thank you so much. Can you get home safely? Yes, I think so. I got it. I'll cover this, so don't worry about it. Really? You'd do that for me? I'm not so strapped for cash that I'd make a student pay. With that, I paid the bill, left the cafe, and parted ways with his girlfriend. I called my lawyer and asked for a restraining order. Once it was ready, I went to my ex-husband's place. What are you doing here? Oh, you're still living here. Yeah, what do you want? My ex-husband looked extremely haggard. He probably hadn't been eating properly. It was still about 3 days until his next payday. Until then, he might have been surviving on water or something. Can I come in for a bit? Sure. Inside, the place was a mess. Since he couldn't cook, there were convenience store bags everywhere. He wasn't good at cleaning or laundry either, so the place was filthy. I thought it was the worst as I sat on the sofa. Here, this is a restraining order for both me and Holly. What? Holly came to me for help. She said you were demanding money and stalking her. I'm not stalking her. You were waiting for her outside the university. I just wanted her to pay back what she owes me. Demanding $5,000 from a student is ridiculous. I need to survive too. How am I supposed to live without electricity and gas? That's your own fault. You didn't keep track of your finances. So it's all my fault? You stopped paying for the utilities without warning. If we had continued living together without the divorce, I wouldn't be in this mess. And if you had lent me some money, I wouldn't have had to go to her university. My ex-husband banged his fist on the table in anger. Don't make loud noises. Shut up. You come to my house just to tell me to stay away? You're really a nasty woman. Why did I ever marry you? Divorcing you was the right choice. You couldn't even do housework properly. Listen, if you're going to keep blaming me, let me remind you that your affair is what started all this. I cheated because you neglected me. I was working hard. What's wrong with that? I provided money, worked, and made sure you had a good life. You should be grateful. Not everyone can afford a housekeeper. I was concerned about your diet and was too busy to do housework myself, so I hired help. I gave you space to settle into your job without complaining. And now you say I neglected you? What does that make me? Enough with your attitude. Wait, you really cared about me that much? Of course, I did. We were married. The one who didn't care was you. If you cared so much, why didn't you tell me? I would have been more attentive to you. Now I don't know how to go on. Don't abandon me. I can't survive alone. Please, Rebecca, don't leave me alone. He collapsed and started crying. I thought seeing him cry like that might hurt, but I felt nothing at all. In fact, I felt utterly disgusted by this man. Sorry, but I have no intention of getting back with you. You repaid kindness with betrayal. Your obsession is creepy. This house is a no-go. Seriously, a grown man crying like that is just gross. If you come near me or Holly again, you'll be arrested. I have the documents right here. So, I'll take my leave now. With that, I firmly left the room. It seemed the shock of what I said was significant, as he didn't chase after me or call. I called Holly and told her that he probably wouldn't come near her again, but if he did, she should immediately call the police. Holly thanked me through her tears. About 2 weeks later, my ex-husband's mother called me. She had just found out about the divorce the day before and asked what had happened. I explained the whole story, and she apologized profusely. When my ex-husband asked her for money, she got worried and called me, and he told her that I wasn't living there because we were divorced. He wouldn't give her any details, so she contacted me instead. I apologized for not getting in touch sooner and thanked her for everything she had done, and she repeatedly apologized to me. I wondered if my ex-husband ever apologized to me. It didn't matter now, but my marriage had finally ended. A few months later, I tried to contact my ex-husband. But the call didn't go through. His phone was probably disconnected. So, I went to his house, but no one lived there anymore. He had been evicted for not paying rent. I talked to someone at his company and found out he was living in an internet cafe. He was planning to resign soon and was looking for a job with company housing. With no savings, he needed a place to stay as soon as possible. It seemed like a tough shift job, and I wondered if he could handle it. After our divorce, his mistakes at work increased, and he was often unsteady near payday. He wasn't eating properly due to lack of money. And he was constantly irritable and lashing out at others. Before he resigned, I asked someone at his company to give him the alimony claim papers. It took about 2 years for him to finally pay. He kept saying he had no money and struggled to find a job after switching. But in the end, I did get the money. Now, 2 years have passed, and I'm about to get married. These 2 years have been tough, but someone supported me. It was my lawyer. It's usually frowned upon for a lawyer and a client to have a romantic relationship, but I fell for him. He was as busy with work as I was, so we quickly decided to live together. Even though we lived together, our schedules often didn't match, but this time we didn't hire a housekeeper. We agreed to do the housework when we were home. He proposed to me recently. The proposal was a bit odd, saying that while our life wouldn't change much, he wanted us to be legally bound. But it made me happy, and I immediately said yes. Even if we are busy, I'm sure we will make time for each other. I feel like we're going to be happy together. I'm determined to build a new married life, learning from the mistakes with my ex-husband. And so, it's a happy ending.